Welcome back, dear friends. I want to introduce to you our next speaker, Volha Maksimuk, Business Acquisition Manager at Google. She will share insight and best practices on Google Ads campaigns launched from scratch. Olga, giving you stage.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for the introduction. Very excited to be here, and I'll tell you all straight away that if you are even 1/4 as excited as I am to be here right now, I think this presentation will be a great experience for all of us, but specifically for me, this is my first time at Games Gathering, both as a visitor and also as a presenter, and I'm very honored to start this journey as a speaker today. My name is Volha, as you can see, or Olga, if you're not fluent in Ukrainian or Belarusian and cannot pronounce it, both is working for me. And today I'll be talking about all the things, which there are quite a lot that you should know about Google Ads before you're actually launching any campaigns. I know this is the last lecture before you're going to a break, so I can imagine you're potentially hungry. I hope you're also hungry for a little bit of knowledge. And I'm going to try to give you some interesting insights and just general guidance from my side. In case you're wondering what exactly gives me authority to speak on the subject, allow me to introduce myself a little bit more formally. Once again, my name is Volha or Olga. I am a new business manager at the Google Ads organization. And what that means is that the big part of my job is actually explaining to customers who are either completely new to Google Ads or are completely new to running mobile games campaigns on Google Ads, how to actually start, how to be successful in those efforts, and what do they actually need to do to be successful. And based on my conversations with customers, based on our internal practices, I have collected a so-called checklist that combines all the steps that you should be taken into consideration before you're launching. It's not necessarily the pill that solves all the problems, and it's not necessarily the solution that will definitely make sure that you are reaching all of your goals, but that's something that can help you to start as smoothly as possible, and also just generally something for you to keep in mind when you start actually with any paid advertisement activities. So before anything else, preparation is the key to success. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it does sound like a cheesy quote from Tumblr of 2011, and it is. I have definitely seen it many times on different motivational pictures. I had to triple check if it is actually correctly attributed to Alexander Graham Bell. It is. However, as cheesy as it is also true. If you want a success when promoting your games with Google or in general, you have to put some thought into preparation, because in order to see success, you need to be able to describe it, and you need to be able to put it into actual metrics and numbers. So some of the questions that you should be able to reply is, what is my monetization model? What is the average revenue per users? What are my cost per install and cost per acquisition goals? Are they realistic? What are my top performing geos? Are my creatives showcasing my game in the best way? Do I have enough creatives? What is enough creatives? So there are a lot of questions that you should be thinking of before you're studying anything. And this is something that a lot of my customers are coming to me with, asking, hey, did I even think of everything that I need to be thinking of before doing anything? And this is something that I'm sharing with my customers when it comes to launching a new campaign. So those are the things that you should be able to cross off your list before you're studying. So you need to know your players, potentially, hopefully as well, current mobile trends. You need to be able to have an app attribution platform that fits your needs and collect, analyze all the right data about the game and the players. You should have different formats of creatives. They should fit the best practices. Your campaigns should fit your current goals and or business model. And of course, you also should be thinking about your budgets and the timelines, and they shall be realistic. So what we're going to do, we're going to briefly go through all of these points, and I'll be diving deeper in some of them, explaining why they are important and what can be done and what can be considered from your side. So by the end of presentation, we should be able to cross-check them all. And we will start with understanding our community and the latest trends. There are lots of different ways to do that. It can be from your own experience. It can be from experience of your competitors. It can be done via the research. I will be today sharing an external study from January this year that Google conducted together with a partner, VGM. It had more than 23,000 participants and basically takes a look into mobile games business globally. And to scale up and to grow your game, generally, a foundation is a key, and having a deeper understanding of player behavior and generally their priorities, this is something that helps you to set you up for success. So I will be sharing some global insights with you right now. However, on our website, Google for Games, you can also find the entire report and take a look at some other insights for yourself and see what makes sense to you. So some of the data I chose is data on, for example, why do mobile players generally start playing games? And if you take a look at all of the bubbles that we have on the slide, at least 3, or actually even more, are referring to having some spare time to waste. They either feel bored, or they want to relax, or they want to stimulate their mind, or they just have this spare time that they want to waste something. Personally, as a player myself, I always am playing on my phone when I'm commuting or traveling. There are a few games that I'm playing just because my little sister wants me to join her on a quest, or my mom needs an extra life in her farming app. Whatever it is, the point I'm trying to make is as soon as you understand where your game comes in handy to your player, you can also use it in your marketing strategy. So understanding why your players are playing your game is quite crucial for you in the very beginning of your journey. And when it comes to discovering new and upcoming games, there are also many different ways, but top 3, top 4 are app stores, so different rankings, in-game ads, social media, and YouTube ads. This is somewhere you should definitely be present at your best, starting with great icon, good detailed description, good reviews, and of course, ads creatives that showcase your gameplay and that help you stand out from the others, and that make sure that you are on top of mind of your players. And in the same way, you will see very similar things being mentioned when we talk about what influences players to try out new games. It's either the genre, or it looks fun in the video that they watched, or they really enjoyed the trailer, or the story seemed interesting. Players want to be engaged from the very beginning. So if they want to try out new games, they already want to feel like this will be a great experience for them and that it will be engaging. Another thing that I often discuss with customers is the in-game ads and how they influence the gameplay experience. And surprisingly, or not really, for those of you who are playing games yourself, more than 75% of players do not really see the in-game ads as a problem. They are at least very neutral or even positively impacted by it. And 86% of players are at least slightly interested in the ads that they are showing and find them completely appropriate. So also, as we just saw in the previous slide, quite a big percentage of players is finding new games to play in those ads. So this is also something you should keep in mind and not worry way too much when it comes to your monetization. And remember that quite a lot of players are actually finding those ads quite useful. And as we are already discussing monetization in a way, let's also talk about the in-app purchases and also the reasons players make those purchases in games. And if you take a look, a lot of them are also connected to the experience. Players want to progress quicker, they want newer content, they want higher quality content, they want to make sure that they are able to compete better, or they are supporting their clan or team. And this is also something very important. Understanding what exactly pushes players in general to buy something is important, because this is also something you can incorporate into your game. And when we talk about what kind of items players are spending money on, those are very usual in-game currency, those are new skills or abilities, boosters and power-ups, extra lives, new items and characters. Again, those are just some things that you can introduce into the gameplay to satisfy your users and to make sure that they have all the options within the game. And 2 pretty important points that we want to finish up the data part on is what keeps mobile players interested in continuing the game and what makes them churn. And top 3 things that keep people in the game are great gameplay, engaging story, and the right level of challenge. Those are your focus area for long-term success. These are the areas that I understand are usually work in progress. This is something that you are focusing on ongoingly. You constantly develop it usually, and it changes over the time. However, this is something you should keep in mind already from the very start, as this is the mindset that will go a long way. And interestingly, when we talk about things that keep people interested, we discuss a lot of things that are rather emotionally relating, right? It's gameplay, it's being interested in it, it's having great time playing it. But when we are discussing top 3 things that make players quit, they are way more operational. It's bugs and glitches, it's too many ads and too many crashes in the game. And those are the things that you should also obviously take in consideration and generally keep in mind. Because I don't know about you, but when it comes to me personally, when I download an app and it constantly crashes, I give it on average around 2 chances. And usually I just delete it because I probably will just forget about it existing, as it gave me a bad initial experience. So this is some of the things that you should definitely remember about, as you don't want to lose users right after acquiring them. There are many reasons why I decided to share all of this data with you. Again, I know it's quite a lot of data to remember and to think about straight from the beginning, but there is a pretty important point which I want to make. You need to understand your users, and you need to have this data and information in front of you when it comes to your app. You need to understand who you are working with, who your players are, and what they are doing. And the data on average users is great to start off and to kind of understand in general how players behave. However, you need to have similar data for yourself. And this is why it's also very important that you have App Attribution platform to collect and analyze all the right data about your users. For those of you who haven't yet worked with paid marketing or generally have not really heard the term of App Attribution before, it is a method of measuring user activities on the app. Can be an install, can be an app purchase, can be a level completed, can be a lot of different things which you define for yourself. And it lets you determine which are your best performing campaigns, which are your best performing and effective ads or creatives. It helps you understand your user's journey within the app and gives you greater knowledge in general about your app's performance and your marketing campaigns performance as well. It is crucial because of 2 main things. First, you cannot fix something if you are not aware that it is broken. For example, you will not be able to understand at which level, at which point your users churn, and maybe there is a very simple reason for that. Maybe there is something that's crashing in the beginning, which you missed yourself during your test, and seeing the user journey in your app attribution platform would be very helpful for that. And the second reason is you also cannot see success if you're not looking at all, because while each individual event, like a single download or a single menu tab, will not give you much information, in general, when it comes to the analysis of a large group of events over the time, it will give you a lot of useful findings and will help you understand how to make your performance and how to improve as well your marketing campaigns. Some of the reasons for why measurement is a key for your success is it allows you to find new users, it allows you to grow existing users, and to grow this exactly 80-20 rule of 20% those that bring you the most of the value, because now you will actually understand which users are bringing the value, which ones are the most valuable one. And as well, it will help you re-engage with the lost users and potential users. It will generally help you answer questions like how many people are playing my games, how engaged they are they retaining, where is the revenue coming from, which attribution model fits the best. And some of the events that you can track when it comes to gaming apps are things, for example, like starting or ending the level, earning and spending currency, beginning tutorial and completing it, unlocking achievement, join a group, or joining the event. It's important generally to have a variety of interactions that you are tracking because, for example, when it comes to Google Ads, to find new users who are considered valuable, we are looking into patterns in the conversion data of all the existing valuable users. So the more interactions you are giving to the algorithm, the more data we have to create a model that will see your users as the most valuable and also attract those users. There are also different ways to measure conversions. There are, for example, the simplest opportunity is the codeless conversion tracking with Google Play, available for the Android games. However, this is something that is applicable for installs specifically, which usually is not necessarily what you're aiming for. Most of my customers usually hoping to get, let's say, deeper in a funnel. And this is the moment when you need a real app attribution platform, which can be either Firebase, which is the Google one, so Google Analytics for Firebase, or a third-party app attribution partner. There are some on the slides, which you can see, such as Adjust, AppFlyer, and so on. The important part here that however, whichever app attribution partner you choose for yourself as a point of truth, we also always highly, very kindly, but also very strongly recommend having Google Analytics for Firebase together with it, in line with it. Google Analytics for Firebase is free of charge, and it really, really shows better results when it comes to app campaigns. With Google Ads, generally, first of all, you will require Firebase setup for some of our deeper funnel products, but also you will see the results being better just because of the deeper connections between Google Ads and Firebase. We have more signals, more data signals. We have some auto-collected events. We have a rather trusted and reliable data, which just leads to improved models. The learning algorithm perform better, they improve performance. You will see 10 to 20% performance uplift without changes in attribution. So you can still have your normal attribution partner, the one you chose for yourself, whichever one it is, and you just add Google Analytics for Firebase to get the most out of your Google campaigns, Google app campaigns. And when it comes to specifically gaming advertisers, we are seeing also an uplift in installs and in-app events as well, with no significant change to cost per conversions, and all due to the same reasons I discussed before, just more data signals and more availability in general. This is when it comes to tracking. So now we know that we, first of all, need to track a lot of these things. Now we know what to do. And now the point is also to understand our marketing efforts. Now we see the reflection of them. Now we need to actually talk about them. How do we actually decide what we are doing with Google Ads? There are a few different ways to define how exactly you're going to be achieving your marketing goals, and also different ways to approach the campaigns, the Google app campaigns. What I'm going to be sharing is not necessarily I'll repeat it, it's not necessarily 100% you should do that. It's rather the recommendation, something that we saw working with our customers or according to our best practices. And there are two typical ways of deciding on this, where one is understanding your current marketing goal and deciding on campaign based on this, and the other one understanding your business model and deciding based on that. Quite often, both of these things are being taken in mind, but we will be talking about both of them in two ways. So we will start with defining the current goal and potential to achieve it. So for example, if your current goal is to significantly grow your user base, there are two things you can do. It's either app campaigns for installs, which would be focused fully on the volume, building steady and consistent flow of new app downloads, acquiring new users at scale, growing your rankings. Or it can be app campaigns for installs, which is a little bit more advanced. This is something where you are having the option of narrowing your target audience. This is when you can choose an in-app action which you would like your users to perform. So every time the algorithm is looking for a new user, they will be looking for someone who is rather likely to perform a specific in-app action. In this case, we recommend an upper funnel event. Most often when it comes to gaming apps, it's opening the app for the first time or creating an account if this is something that is required in your game, as we want to make sure that the algorithm still has a pretty broad audience to take a look at, basically. So choosing between app campaigns for installs and app campaigns for installs advanced is up to you. I would say the app campaigns for installs is especially ideal for a new app launch, creating app awareness in general, and just getting a foundation for longer term goals, teaching the algorithm about your app, while advanced is when you are already quite savvy and you already have a pretty big user base, and you still want to make sure that you are already focusing on someone who will later be part of your app longer term. If we will be talking about increasing in-app engagement, then in this case, you can take a look at app campaigns for in-app actions and app campaigns for value for Android. So when it comes for app campaigns for action, you will basically use the algorithm to optimize towards users that are completing some predefined or custom in-app actions. We usually recommend a funnel approach where you start with something rather broad, like, again, for example, opening the app or registering in the app or starting a tutorial, and then just moving further along this funnel up to the actions and events within your app that are actually bringing you revenue, like, for example, in-app purchase of something. And when it comes to app campaigns for value, this is a chance for you to optimize towards the in-app action at the desired return on ad spend within some kind of a conversion window. So it will be using also historical data to determine the probability of user actually completing your in-app event at the return on ad spend that you specified. This is a little bit of a more complicated type of a campaign, as it also has some prerequisites. It is expected that you have already run the in-app actions campaign, so the algorithm is already aware of what is realistic for your campaign, what is realistic for your app, what has already worked, and what kind of information is needed for the algorithm. So normally, as soon as you can bring in around 300 in-app events within a 30-day window, you should be ready to start with app campaigns for value as well. When it comes to the ads engagement, if you are, for example, ads monetized and you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of the ads, there are two ways as well to take care of that. So one can be app campaigns for installs, where you choose the number of ads watched as your event that you are optimizing for. And the other one would be app campaigns for ads, return on ad spend, which will basically allow algorithm to search primarily for those users that are most really going to be watching the amount of ads and directly interact with them as well. This is one of these campaigns as well where you would need Firebase setup to be done correctly. And this is also one of the reasons why we always make sure that our customers are working with Firebase already. It makes a lot of things just easier for them and also just shows better results. But those are two types of campaigns which are typically used to make the most out of the ads engagement. And if you want to re-engage your existing players and bring them back to the game, you can be taking a look at app campaigns for value, which we just discussed, and also app campaigns for re-engagement, which is something similar to remarketing campaigns, where you're re-engaging people who haven't used your app or game in a while. Or, for example, you target people that have purchased something sometime before, or maybe they installed your app and they haven't done anything. You have a lot of different abilities to re-engage your existing players. However, this campaign is also something that you are coming to with a little bit more of experience in running Google campaigns, as you already need a minimum install base of 250,000 installs. You also need a specific Firebase setup, which we are gladly also, of course, helping with. And you also need to have deep linking in your app to make sure that your campaign for engagement actually works and you will be able to run it. But this is something to keep in mind for maybe at a later stage of your app development, that you actually will be able to re-engage your existing players and make sure you're getting the most out of this. The other option, something else to mention is, for example, if you want to capitalize on the holiday season, which is fairly big, especially in tier 1 countries, and re-engage your existing players based on this, or in general, you can also use app campaigns for in-app actions or app campaigns for engagement. As I said, this is not necessarily something that all of you have to do, or if you have done something differently and it worked, this is amazing. This is just something that we are usually sharing from our side as kind of, hey, this has worked in the past, try this. The other way to take a look and define the type of campaigns to run your strategy on would be your business model. And I think the best part would be to briefly just mention different ones. It can be ads monetization, it can be in-app purchases monetization, it can be subscriptions monetization, and it can just be a full-on paid apps, so paywall apps. We will be focusing on those that are used the most and also benefit from paid marketing efforts the most, in-app purchases, ads monetization, and a hybrid of those two. So when it comes to ad monetization, the biggest bet for you is the return on ad spend campaigns for ads revenue. You pair it up with the installs campaigns to ensure volume and ensure high ranking. And you also make sure to not only have the campaign for your core geos, but also include the worldwide audience, as it is not just a nice to have, but it does have quite clear benefits, contributes more signals to algorithm learnings, because learnings are shared on the app level, and then core campaigns are able to ramp up quicker. You will scale at lower CPIs, and you will just generally have a much more stable involvement. It's not something that you do for higher profitability. However, we did have success cases with hyper casuals that scaled these campaigns just as large as their US campaigns. But this is something you do just to help your campaign be more stable and to reduce your target CPIs as well. When it comes to in-app purchases monetization, we are talking about action and install campaigns, and also T-Rose value campaigns. Everything we just discussed a few slides ago, you're focusing on value campaigns and you're focusing on action campaigns that are working in a funnel together. And ideally, you also pair it up with install campaigns for scale and reach, and providing a learning booster for algorithm and for rankings as well. And logically, when it comes to hybrid monetization, you basically take the best of both worlds. This is something where, again, your App Attribution platform comes really in handy, because you need to understand what percentage of your revenue is driven by what exactly, as this will also allow you to understand how to better allocate your budgets. But ultimately, you want to still use install campaigns for the volume and rankings if this is something of your interest. And then you pair them with action campaigns and return on ad spend campaigns as well. So again, worldwide campaigns, highly recommended. This is a kind of, it's a kind recommendation, an optional recommendation, but from our experience, again, it's not just nice to have. It does have clear additional benefits, and it is something that you can really benefit from yourself. Wow, that was a section. It was a lot of material. It was a lot of screenshot potential for sure, but also a lot of letters. I hope it has been as helpful as it was a bit overwhelming. I will be at Bratislava for Thursday and Friday. If you would like to talk a little bit more about this, you can find me at the stand. You can also reach out to me via Pine, because I know it feels like a little bit a lot. However, good news, we are getting into a more creative part of the presentation, which is, well, ironically, creatives themselves, because another very important part is that you need to develop creatives in various formats to reach more potential players. For those of you who have heard at least one Google presentation, you have probably seen this slide many times. I will do my best to just stop a little bit on each point and manage to mention only critically important things, and I will then jump to the most important part. So when it comes to asset coverage, there are different things you can do. So it's text ads, image ads, video ads, and HTML5 ads. As you can see, I have not even added the letter to the group, as it is optional, and these three are the key for your success. Things to remember in general is that your app is an ad, so your main job is to showcase your app the most. It does not have to be an exhausting demo. It is rather need to be engaging. It has to be a brief glimpse into your gameplay, demonstrate that it is easy to use, intrigue your user, intrigue your player. You can do it with all three of those. The text ads with 5 headlines and 5 descriptions, something engaging, something that intrigues me, gives me a hook, makes me immediately go and try it out and see what I can get out of it. This is your key. When it comes to images, 20 images, the images should be aligned with your goals. So if you are interested in getting new downloads and new users, make sure that there is a download for free, download right now, download immediately, whatever the download button it is, make sure it's there. However, if, for example, your goal is to re-engage users, make sure to also mention that in your image. Make sure that picture talks about this. For example, come back and play with your friend XYZ, or we have new levels, have you seen them? Whatever it is. If you want to make sure that they purchase something and you want to promote sale, that's exactly what you're going to do. Come and buy new coins, see our new costumes for your favorite character. Whatever it is, make sure it aligns with your goal and it speaks for itself. And when it comes to videos, this is something that I think is important to stop on additionally, because video is a king for gaming app campaigns. Again, any one of you who has been to any Google presentation, you probably have seen it and have heard it before, but it definitely is true. Adding just one video to your app campaign will drive 20% of uplift in installs. So it is your goal to have creatives in different formats, in different aspect ratios, in different length. There are 3 different aspect ratios here: portrait, landscape, and square. And if we speak in honestly, each one of them matters. However, if you need to prioritize, I would prioritize the portrait one, 2 to 3, because that's the one that would be like, it has to be there. Everything else should be there, but the portrait one has to be there. And you should be able to upload videos that are ranging from different, so around 10, 15, and 30 seconds. Feel free to make 160 seconds videos, but make sure that you are creating the video knowing that you will be cutting it in a few different ones. Have multiple peaks, be engaging, be exciting, make sure that your customer, your potential player, will immediately be grasped by this and be hooked by your ad. This is something that should be always in your mind. How can I intrigue them right now? How can I immediately make them want to download it? How can I make them play it? Use voiceover. Make sure that if you're adding any kind of sound, that your video still works without the sound, though, because sound is something that can be working with your ad. However, you need to remember that a lot of ads are showing without any sound due to the fact that people are just watching the video with their sound off. So the sound is a helping hand, but not something you're fully reliant on. That's something very important to remember. And to bring in something a little bit outside of our classic recommendations on creatives, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the best practices for holiday seasons, because we are 2 weeks away from Halloween, maybe even less by now, and 2 months away from Christmas. And the holiday season is big all over the world, specifically big also in Tier 1 countries and US, and is known for great results in user acquisition and retention and general re-engagement. So here are some advice on how to use that in creatives. So first of all, customize your app icons accordingly. Tip users after the seasonal updates by just switching up the app icons. I personally absolutely love that. I am the person who goes into every game I have on my phone just to check if they have any New Year sale or if they have any type of New Year event. That is often very, very nicely done, and just, I don't know, personally makes me happy. From what we have seen, it definitely does show higher numbers in engagement because the users are coming back to see what is the new there. And when it comes to customizing and optimizing, make sure you showcase your unique holidays content in the app stores. Do not hide it in the what's new section. Change the screenshots. Make sure you're putting this information inside. Make sure that not only your icons, but generally everything the user sees when they're still making a decision whether they want to install your app is there. They want to be able to know that, hey, you have this amazing Halloween event that they can take part in. This is something that also will ensure bigger success in this campaign. And highlight the limited time nature of holidays. If you're having an event, make sure to remind them, hey, in 6 days, this is going to be over. In 4 days, this Halloween hat will be no longer on sale. This and this happens then. And make sure also, again, to include it in all the creatives you are already putting out. Make sure to use your screenshots. Make sure to use the description as well. Feel free to change all of this information for this short-term holidays to create this holiday mood and to create this sense of urgency that can further impact conversion. And those are generally some examples of screenshots I wanted to bring to you to explain what exactly I mean. Those showcase the features, promotions. They are, as you can see, some of them are Halloween related, some of them are Christmas related. I've seen also things that were connected to the Thanksgiving Day. So the point is, this is something for your inspiration when it comes to the upcoming holidays. Make sure to make the most out of it. And I hope this would be something you will see success with as well. And we are coming to one of the last and one of the most discussed points in any customer conversations I ever had, which is budgets. So let's brace ourselves for the tough conversation, because the key to budget setting is actually, well, pretty simple. You have to be realistic and you have to be patient. What does it mean? So first of all, your target CPI or CPA, so your bids, should be based on your goal and actual cost per install or in-app action that you have achieved in the past. Initially, when you're launching your game, you can also refer to industry CPI benchmarks or potentially your industry knowledge and your previous experience if you have any. However, it is important that your bids are realistic. And the other point is your minimum daily budget should allow for at least 100 installs or 20 in-app events per day for the learning period. And when I say minimum daily budget, I mean it. This is something you need to ensure that the campaign will start off and will show you the results and will be able to run and ramp up quickly. And that's when we come to the patient. Being patient is crucial because you have to refrain from making any, or at the very least, major changes to your campaign for at least the first full week from the launch, which also means you do not pause the campaigns, you do not restart them, you do not majorly increase or decrease the budgets. Max 20% both ways would be okay, but ideally you do not do even that. And you also do not change creative assets. You kind of allow the algorithms to play around with everything, test everything, and also just learn from the data it gets. Because each of the small tweaks that I mentioned will basically cause the algorithm to restart the learning period, which is counterproductive to what we are trying to achieve, as we are trying to make it as short as possible. So being realistic and being patient is the key to budget, and it is potentially the hardest part of the entire point of creating the ad, because you need to understand that, okay, we are right now testing, we're seeing what is going on, and we are giving it some time. This is basically a one-sheeter for all the questions that very often occur when it comes to app campaigns. Again, this is, I think, everything that I more or less mentioned. Allow for at least 100 installs, no changes to these budgets, set your CPA higher, ensure transition, so minimize adjustments, expect fluctuations, and again, be patient. It will smoothen over the time, it will get better, it will stabilize. And yeah, when it comes to iOS campaigns, do set a bit higher, at least 1.5 times higher compared to Android, to make sure that you give your campaign the same amount of data. So these are some typical points to mention when it comes to budgets. Again, those of you who have talked to Google before probably heard this. We are still telling that. We're not tired of telling you that, because this is something that we have seen working. We know how it works. We know it takes time and it takes patience, but if you give it some time and you give it some patience, you will see results and you will see success. So I hope this will give you a little bit better of understanding of how to proceed when it comes to budgets. And with this, we basically checked all the boxes. We now know how to understand the players in general and the trends in general. We now understand that we need an app attribution platform. We know and collect and analyze the right data about the game and the players. We have different formats of creatives. Our ad campaigns either fit current goals or business model, or both of it if possible. And my budgets and timelines are realistic. So now I hope we are able to do all of that, and we also have a little bit better understanding of why and what is the point of the whole thing. And the last thing I will be saying is well done is better than well said, because I have been talking a lot. I shared even more in the last, I believe, almost 40 minutes. And while being lectured is, well, hopefully helpful and at least somewhat entertaining, I would also love to stop for a moment and switch from just lecturing to also mentioning one of the success cases we've had within some of the campaigns that I mentioned before, and then we can also have a short question point. Basically, the example I wanted to talk to was the NetEase Games. It's a Chinese mobile game development company. They were the one who used the campaigns for engagement as they wanted to re-engage customers who have not logged into their game for 15 days or longer. So they did run app campaign for engagement, and to see the success, they were continually updated the audience list. They were taking a look into everyone who would not be playing app longer than 15 days. And they were always optimized towards in-app login, so getting into the app again, starting playing, or even just opening the app and taking a look at what's new. And they followed all the creative best practices, which resulted into 2.5 times return on investment. Their cost per conversion dropped 70%. And in the first 2 months, they reactivated 20% of all the users that were not playing for 15 days or longer. So this is something that you also can keep in mind. Those results are quite realistic. This is something you can do as well with your game. And this is something that we are hoping you will be able to achieve with our help or on your own, however it is you would like it. And from my side, that would be generally it. I am overwhelmed with the amount of time I talked. As I said, I will be in Hotel Tatra on 20 and 21st October, and I will be happy to talk to you, discuss everything or parts of what I've been talking about. And the link I'm leaving here, games.withgoogle.com, is our Games for Google website, where you can find a lot of data, a lot of interesting resources for your game, and generally for your knowledge on what's going on in the game community and mobile trends as well.
Thanks, Olga. I think it was a really interesting presentation, and I believe everyone have learned something new from it. And I believe it's time to move to the question and answer session, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so the first question is it actually possible to publish in the game on your own and set up adverts correctly so that your game become popular? Maybe you have seen something like that.
Right. So generally, yes, we do work. Generally, first of all, Google Ads is a self-service platform. So of course you can set up anything you would like to set up. And it is always possible whether you are a big publisher or indie publisher. I think the point here comes that you still need to have a little bit understanding of Google Ads. At least you need to be able to go through the checklist that I have shared now, but also ideally you should be able to have some of the hands-on experience. This is something that sometimes indie developers are lacking just because they do not have someone with PPC experience in their team. However, especially when it comes to ads monetized games, I have seen some of the interesting success cases where teams, and I mean literal companies of 2 people, would succeed with ads monetization play apps, and also the target return on ad spend for ads campaigns on their own. So yes, it is generally possible. It is, of course, harder than when you are an established publisher or an established developer, as you just have more resources, but it is possible.
Okay, thanks. The next question would be, is it possible to monetize game via Google Ads, just adding ads to your game?
I believe what they mean is monetizing game via AdMob, so having ads of different apps, different games within your game.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly how ad monetization works. I have customers who make an exciting amount of money just from having ads in their games, and that's exactly how they come to us, because now when they have revenue from their ads, they want to make sure they're monetizing with in-app purchases as well, or they just want to ensure that they have more users to see those ads. But yes, you can monetize your games with ads specifically and only.
And for example, if I have a game and I would like to have adverts of my game in some other specific game, can I do this, or is an algorithm that will actually decide where it will be shown?
You mean whether algorithms decide where your game is shown, basically?
Yeah.
Yes.
How can you choose?
Algorithm initially will start with showing your game to every potential user that they find in past would be interesting in something similar. And then based on the signals that they are receiving specifically for your game, for your genre, for your specific event, they will be narrowing it down. So yes, the algorithm decides where it's shown.
Okay. I believe that's all of the questions for now. And again, as Olga said, you can meet her in Bratislava just in a few days and talk in person. So yes, thanks again.
Thank you so very much. Have a great day
Bye-bye.
ahead, everyone. Enjoy your break. Bye-bye.